When they told you that they had found the person that they believe killed your daughter, did that bring you any comfort?
No, it made me want to see him and see what he looked like and, ask him why he did it.
This is a reconstruction of a serial murder investigation informed by public records, forensic evidence, and first-hand survivor testimony. Names of certain private individuals have been altered. On a cold November night in 2016, 20-year-old Sarah Butler climbed into a car with a man she thought was a friend. She had no way of knowing that the man behind the wheel, 20-year-old Khalil Wheeler Weaver, had already spent the last 3 months turning the streets of Essex County into his personal hunting ground. Wheeler Weaver wasn't a shadow in the woods or a hooded figure in an alley. He was a licensed security guard, a man paid to protect. He lived in Orange, New Jersey, worked a steady job at a ShopRite, and maintained a digital footprint that seemed entirely ordinary. But behind the good guy persona was a calculated predator who used dating apps like Tagged to lure women into his reach. By the time Sarah met him, 2 other women were already missing, and a third had barely escaped with her life. But because of where these women lived and the lives they led, the system wasn't looking for a serial killer. They were looking for missing persons, until Sarah's family decided to do the police's job for them. Before we dive into the digital sting operation that brought this monster down, tell us in the comments, where are you watching from tonight? We tell these stories to ensure the names of the victims are remembered and the failures of the system are exposed. If you believe in accountability for those who slip through the cracks, hit that subscribe button and join our community. The security footage from a 7-Eleven in Montclair captures the last moment Sarah Butler was seen alive. Frame by frame, you can see Khalil Wheeler Weaver entering the store. He is wearing tight black gloves, an odd detail for a casual date. He buys iced tea and 3 condoms. He is calm. He is methodical. What the cameras didn't show was the pattern Wheeler Weaver had already established. August 31st, 2016, 19-year-old Robin West goes missing. Her body is found days later in an abandoned house that had been set on fire to destroy evidence. September 22nd, 2016, 33-year-old Joanne Brown disappears. Her body would later be found in a vacant property, strangled with her own clothing. In each case, Wheeler Weaver used his phone to search for how to bleach a room and what chemicals odorless. Digital forensics would later show he spent hours researching the decomposition of human remains. He wasn't just killing, he was practicing. But his biggest mistake wasn't his search history, it was Tiffany Taylor. In October, Tiffany met Khalil through the same app. He lured her to a secluded spot, handcuffed her, and began to strangle her. In a moment of sheer survival instinct, Tiffany fought back. She managed to escape his car, running for her life through the dark. She went straight to the police. She gave them his name. She gave them his description. But according to court depositions, the responding officers didn't see a victim of a serial killer. They saw a woman from a troubled background. They dismissed her. They didn't even file a full report. Because of that institutional failure, Khalil Wheeler Weaver remained free to send one more message on November 22nd, a message to Sarah Butler. As Sarah's family realized she wasn't coming home, they didn't just wait for a phone call. They took her laptop. They cracked her passwords. They found the messages from a user named Khalil. The police told them to wait. The system told them to stay patient. But the Butlers knew something was wrong. They were about to launch a high-stakes undercover operation that would put them face-to-face with a murderer. Do you think the police should be held legally liable when they ignore a survivor's report and the attacker strikes again? Let us know your thoughts on duty to protect in the comments. While the police were filing paperwork, Sarah Butler's family was declaring war. They didn't have badges, but they had Sarah's laptop, her passwords, and a circle of friends who refused to let her disappear into a file cabinet. On November 23, 2016, just 24 hours after Sarah vanished, her sister and a close friend sat in the dimly lit living room staring at a screen. They found the tagged profile Sarah had been messaging. The user, Khalil Wheeler Weaver. He's still active. He's literally online right now. He thinks he got away with it. We need to make a profile. We need to be the bait. They created a fake profile using photos of a girl who looked like Khalil's type. They called her Maddie. They didn't wait. They messaged him. Maddie, hey, saw you on here. You look like you know how to have a good time. I do. You're cute. You in orange? Maddie, close enough. I'm looking for someone to hang out with tonight. You down? I'm always down. I got a car. We can go somewhere quiet. The audacity was chilling. Khalil was messaging a new girl while Sarah's body was lying in the cold brush of Eagle Rock Reservation. He wasn't even hiding. They set a meeting point, a parking lot in Montclair. Then, and only then, did the family call the detectives. We have him, they said. He's coming to meet us at 11 p.m. Are you going to be there, or are we doing this ourselves? We didn't trust the process anymore. We had seen how they treated Tiffany Taylor. We knew if we didn't hand him to them on a silver platter, Sarah would just be another cold case. As the sting was being set, investigators began digging into Wheeler Weaver's real life. What they found was a man who lived in the cracks of society. He worked as a security guard for a local ShopRite in a nearby apartment complex. In police body cam footage from a week prior, Khalil is seen talking to officers about a minor disturbance at his job. He is polite. He uses sir and officer. He is wearing his uniform, a neon vest and a badge. He looks like a pillar of the community. But his phone records told a different story. The digital footprint revealed that Wheeler Weaver wasn't just using dating apps for dates, he was using them as a GPS for murder. Location data shows him at the exact site where Robin West's body was burned. Search history: how to incapacitate someone quickly. How long does it take to die from strangulation? Despite this mounting evidence, the defense would later argue that Khalil was a victim of a witch hunt by grieving families. They claimed the women he met were high risk and that he was being framed because of his job. But there was one piece of evidence they couldn't explain away: the survivor's map. Tiffany Taylor, the woman who escaped in October, had meticulously noted landmarks during her kidnapping. She told police about a specific smell of chemicals and a creaky gate. When detectives finally followed the Butler family's lead and searched Wheeler Weaver's frequent haunts, they found that exact gate. And behind it, they found the remains of Joanne Brown. The Butler family had to risk their own safety to get justice because the police didn't believe the first survivor. If a private citizen solves a crime the police ignored, should the police department be forced to pay a settlement to the family for negligence? Tell us your thoughts below. This is a massive debate in legal circles right now. The trap is set. Khalil is driving to the parking lot expecting a date with Maddie. The police are tucked away in unmarked SUVs, and Sarah's family is watching from a distance, hearts pounding. But Khalil is a trained security guard. He knows how to spot a tail. But it didn't go as planned. Khalil realizes it's a setup, and a high-speed game of cat and mouse begins, leading to a revelation that would link him to a victim even younger than Sarah. The air in the Montclair parking lot was freezing on the night of December 6, 2016. In an unmarked SUV, detectives sat in total silence, watching the entrance. A few rows away, Sarah's family waited in their own vehicle, their eyes fixed on the flickering streetlights. Then, a silver car pulled in. It moved slowly, circling the perimeter like a shark testing the waters. Target vehicle in sight, silver sedan, license plate match, one occupant. Wait for him to exit. We need him out of the car. If he stays in, he's a flight risk. He's stopping. He's looking at his phone. He's probably messaging Maddie right now. Khalil Wheeler Weaver was cautious. He had spent years as a security guard. He knew how to scan a room for heat. He sat in that car for 5 agonizing minutes. On the other end of the app, Sarah's friends were typing with trembling fingers, telling him Maddie was almost there, encouraging him to step out and meet her. But Khalil's intuition flared. He didn't see Maddie. He saw a car that looked too still. He saw a shadow move in a window. Suddenly, the silver sedan roared to life. He didn't just drive away, he floored it. The chase was on. But Wheeler Weaver wasn't just running from the police. He was running from the truth that was finally catching up to him. When they finally boxed him in and dragged him from the driver's seat, he didn't scream. He didn't fight. He went back into that polite security guard persona. "Is there a problem, officer? I think there's been a mistake. I'm just out for a drive." As Khalil sat in an interrogation room, the ordinary man mask began to crack. But it wasn't Sarah Butler's case that shattered it. It was a discovery made in the digital debris of his life. Investigators executed a search warrant on Khalil's family home. In the basement, among his security uniforms and equipment, they found something that changed the scope of the case from a killing spree to a lifelong pattern of predation. Tucked away was a collection of personal items that didn't belong to Robin, Joanne, or Sarah. They belonged to Mawa Doumbia. Mawa was only 15 years old when she vanished from Newark in 2016. For years, her family had been told she was likely a runaway. The revelation was sickening. Khalil hadn't just started killing in August, he had been hunting children. The transformation point arrived when DNA testing linked Wheeler Weaver to remains found in an abandoned house in Orange, the same house where he had taken Robin West. And now that mistake is costing him everything. Because the Butler family refused to back down, the police were forced to look at the runaway files they had ignored for years. Suddenly, the security guard wasn't just a suspect in one murder, he was a serial killer with a body count that was still being calculated. The federal jurisdiction was triggered. Because he had used cellular networks and interstate apps to lure his victims, the FBI began a deep dive into every missing person report in the tri-state area involving young women. Khalil's career didn't just end, it was erased. The ShopRite where he worked issued a public apology. His neighbors, who called him quiet and helpful, went into hiding. When a serial killer is a trusted figure like a security guard or a police officer, should they receive a mandatory double sentence for abuse of public trust? Let us know in the comments. Does the uniform make the crime worse? But even with the DNA and the Maddie sting, Khalil had one more card to play. He refused to confess. He looked the detectives in the eye and told them they were the ones who were crazy. The heartbreaking court testimony from Tiffany Taylor, the one who got away, as she faces her attacker in a room full of people who once didn't believe her. And we reveal the shocking contents of Khalil's jailhouse letters, where he tried to manipulate the system one last time. The trial of Khalil Wheeler Weaver was not just a legal proceeding, it was an emotional reckoning. The courtroom in Essex County was packed with families who had spent years in a fog of what-ifs. But the atmosphere shifted from grief to pure electricity when the prosecution called their star witness, Tiffany Taylor. Miss Taylor, do you see the man who attacked you in this room today? He's sitting right there. He's wearing the same cold look he had when he told me I wasn't going home. Objection. Speculation. Overruled. Continue. I'm not a high-risk victim. I'm a human being. I told the police his name in October. If they had listened to me then, Sarah Butler would be sitting in class right now. Joanne Brown would be with her family. You all let him keep his badge while he was taking our lives. The silence that followed was deafening. Tiffany wasn't just testifying against a killer, she was indicting the entire system. Her words highlighted a devastating reality. The consequences cascade didn't just hit Wheeler Weaver, it hit the police departments that had dismissed her. Internal investigations were launched. policies regarding missing persons in urban areas were ripped apart and rewritten. The Butler Law was discussed in hushed tones in legislative hallways, a demand that police treat every report with the same urgency, regardless of the victim's zip code. As the trial progressed, the prosecution dropped a bombshell: the jailhouse letters. While awaiting trial, Khalil hadn't been praying for forgiveness. He had been writing to his family and friends, trying to orchestrate a cover-up from behind bars. "Tell them I was with you that night. Tell them the GPS is wrong because I let a friend borrow my phone. If we all say the same thing, they can't prove nothing. They're just mad because a black man with a job is too perfect for them to catch." He tried to weaponize his identity and his clean record to manipulate the jury, but the evidence was a mountain he couldn't climb. The odorless bleach. Receipts showed him buying cleaning supplies hours after Robin West went missing. The cell tower pings. His phone didn't just borrow a friend's location, it followed the victims to their final resting places with surgical precision. The DNA. Found under Sarah Butler's fingernails. She had fought for her life, and in doing so, she had captured his identity. The markings on the victims' necks were identical. This wasn't a crime of passion, this was a signature. The perpetrator used a specific ligature technique, likely learned in security training, to ensure maximum control with minimum noise. The financial and social destruction of Wheeler Weaver's life was absolute. His family, once respected in their community, became pariahs. His mother's house, where he had stored his trophies, was constantly surrounded by protesters. The good guy image was dead. In its place was a 23-year-old man facing a reality that no amount of polite sirs could fix. During the trial, it was revealed that Khalil's employer never did a deep background check on his digital history. Should companies that hire security guards be held civilly liable for millions of dollars if their employee uses their authority to commit a crime? Type libel or exempt in the comments. The jury was out for the Kimpadiv good guy's office in the comments. The jury was out for the commitment crime, type less than 3 hours. In the world of triple homicide trials, that is an eternity of certainty. But as the verdict was read, Khalil Wheeler Weaver did something that shocked the entire courtroom. He didn't flinch. He didn't cry. He leaned over and whispered something to his lawyer that made the attorney visibly recoil. The 160-year sentence that ensures he will die in a cage, and the haunting final words from the mothers of the women who didn't let him win. The courtroom was so quiet you could hear the mechanical hum of the court reporter's machine. Khalil Wheeler Weaver stood, flanked by his lawyers, his face a mask of cold indifference. He had spent months trying to manipulate the narrative, but the jury had seen through the security guard uniform and the polite demeanor. They saw the monster underneath. As to count 1, the murder of Robin West, how do you find? Guilty. As to count 4, the murder of Joanne Brown, how do you find? Guilty. As to count 10, the murder of Sarah Butler, how do you find? Guilty. On all 11 counts, murder, kidnapping, aggravated sexual assault, and arson, the verdict was the same: guilty. As the word was repeated over and over, a sob broke out from the gallery. It was Sarah Butler's mother. She wasn't just crying for her daughter. She was crying for the 3 years of fighting, the sleepless nights spent cracking passwords, and the weight of a justice system she had to drag across the finish line herself. Judge Verna Leith did not hold back. During the sentencing hearing, she addressed Wheeler Weaver directly. She noted his lack of remorse, his chilling behavior in custody, and the sheer calculation of his crimes. You used your intelligence and your position as a security guard to hunt those you deemed vulnerable. You believed their lives didn't matter. You were wrong. This sentence is designed to ensure you never draw another breath as a free man. The math was devastating for Khalil. 160 years in state prison. Under New Jersey law, he must serve at least 145 of those years before he is even eligible to whisper the word parole. He was 23 years old. He will die behind bars. But the story doesn't end with a cell door slamming shut. The resolution of this case is found in the lives Khalil couldn't destroy. Today, she is a symbol of survival. Her refusal to be silenced led to a massive overhaul in how the Essex County Prosecutor's Office handles sexual assault and missing person reports. She proved that one voice, even when ignored, can eventually shake the foundations of a city. The Butler family. They turned their grief into a blueprint for accountability. They are frequently invited to speak to community groups about digital safety and the importance of families taking an active role in investigations. Because of the evidence found during Sarah Butler's investigation, Mawa's family finally received the answers they had been denied for years. Her death was no longer an unsolved mystery, and she was finally laid to rest with the dignity she deserved. Khalil Wheeler-Weaver thought he was the smartest person in the room. He thought he could use dating apps to turn women into statistics. He didn't count on the power of a family's love or the iron-willed survival of a woman who refused to die. What do you think is the biggest lesson we can learn from how the Butler family took the lead in this investigation? Should there be a formal citizens task force in every city to help police with missing person cases? Talk to us in the comments. Your perspective helps keep these conversations alive. If you believe that every victim deserves an urgent response, no matter who they are or where they come from, share this video. Let's make sure the names of Robin, Joanne, Sarah, Mawa, and Tiffany are the ones that stay in the headlines, not the man who tried to take them away. Hit subscribe for more deep dive investigations into the cases that changed the law forever. Thank you for watching and stay safe.
When they told you that they had found the person that they believe killed your daughter, did that bring you any comfort?
No, it made me want to see him and see what he looked like and, ask him why he did it.